Dungeon Doom
Those
Hands.
answers
Let's talk lore.
are stuck.
A podcast.
You got to stay true to those. Welcome back to Let's Talk Lore. This is going to be the second session, of tonight's episode, and we are going to now go straight into world building. Some recommendations, experiences.
Small topic.
Small topic. Yeah, very small topic. It's huge. It's ongoing. It happens all the time, every game, and my favorite thing about the world building as a DM, and it's also the most irritating, which I promise you this is going to circle back to it, are questions. Hey, questions. But Chris, you are not just a player in my game, in our game, I should rather say, but you also have had a lot of experience playing Dungeons & Dragons. What do you do with world building? What's the smallest type of world building you've encountered? Let's start there.
Making a NPC. Making a character.
Yeah. And then what's the largest?
Largest is...
I know it's the world, but it's
building an idea.
Building an idea.
Because an idea can create the whole world.
And what do you mean by building an idea? Earlier, before we started, you were talking about goals. What did you mean by that?
Well, it's if you're sitting down to create a dungeon, your purpose is to create a challenge for your players that will take them so many encounters or so long in their travels or allow them to find something. I always feel that when you go larger, you have to go more complex. Try and explain why everything is the way it is, but as simplified of an idea. Because the longer the time span, the more all the little things wash out, and that true deeper understanding is what's prevalent over time.
I think one of the problems that can become overwhelming with world building, and I've said this before and I wanted to articulate it here, is that it's not the dungeon master's duty to build this world or reality that the players are playing in. It is also the players. It's a shared duty. And I'll repeat this over and over and over again. It's not the dungeon, when the dungeon master is building a city, got it. Let's just say a town. You're building a little town and you're building the world. That's the literal idea of world building. But your town that you're building, let's just say you're in New York City. You're in Manhattan. You're world building now. You're going to go on a dungeon quest to New Jersey. The people in New Jersey are going to know of Manhattan. They're going to know everything about that place. Mm-hmm. If it turns out that one of your players is from New Jersey City, you know what's easy? You know what's an easy way to work around world building in that particular neck of the woods? Go visit that city. Go put the New Jersey boy on the spot. Rely on your players because they'll come up with specific things. If they're good players, just like they say, the dungeon master has to be a good dungeon master. The players should also have a bar too, and a good player, I think, will have a little quick back and forth between the dungeon master, whether it's in the gameplay or outside the gameplay, on a group chat or whatever you want to do, about what's in their hometown city. So, I guess to bring it back to what we were saying, world building is huge. It's not just one particular dungeon, city, town. So let's get back to the goals. So, when you told me, you said specifically, what is the goal? What did you mean by that?
I'll use an example, more simple example then. So when I first ran Sir Richard's Carnival, my goal was to have something fun that I could throw you into and you just smash something because you wanted to play Drake and a Barbarian. I was okay, let me create this really cool character, this Sir Richard, this little gnome, whatever, wizard. All right, what the hell is it going to have? That's going to be something for that will create there, and just sort of let the idea spawn from itself. I'm like, all right, he's a wizard, and I've known of like a Magnificent Mansion. I'm like, all right, he would know some people, some crazy things, and he has this doorknob that turns into a bunch of different little mansions that he can create into its own world, and then he is rescuing endangered creatures and protecting them in this cave.
I thought that Sir Richard didn't you say that Sir Richard had like a specific? So for those of you who don't know, not going to be streamed for you. This was pre-streamed. Although we're working on you can follow along with the story on Instagram. But Sir Richard's Carnival Quest is what I'm going to call it. Unless you, Chris, you're the one who DM'd it. Was Chris giving the DM a break? Thank goodness, because we just got through the Artemisian Forest. We got through to Artemisia. There was a couple sessions there. It was crazy. Very fun, all hilarious, all playable on our website. Just go to Instagram, Dungeon Doom, and follow along. Every encounter there is a piece of the story, so it's pretty cool. But Sir Richard's Carnival was Chris's namesake in that town of Artemisia. And didn't you tell me that you wanted like a theme? Were you talking about like a theme, like where you wanted like an ecosystem type?
Well, that's what the dungeon that I ended up creating became, as an ecosystem. So Sir Richard, this traveling wizard telling tales of his grand adventures, and part of that is he is essentially like the Underground Railroad for endangered species and creatures. So he uses his magic to create this, essentially, like, think of Newt Scamander and Harry Potter Fantastic Beasts, where he has this suitcase that has all these magical environments in them. And Sir Richard, he's like, he can change a different key, like the guy in the Matrix, and open up a different door, and you have this whole other world. And each one is an environment for that creature. So the one that you guys fought in was like a Cyclops. I'm like, all right, what do the Cyclopses eat? The Cyclops would eat like some herd animal. All right, so what do the herd animal eat? They're going to eat some berries and grasses. And what do the berries and
animals and stuff? That's hilarious.
And that's the thing, is like, what do the berries and grasses need to eat? They need water and fertilizer. So that's where the fish in that water tunnel came in. And
2.5 years later, this is coming to fruition. Wow.
The plant life in that tunnel was purifying the water as it was flowing through from the cliffside, from where the
piranha,
the giants were. Yeah, the piranhas were in the water.
When you world build,
the reason I did that one is I'm like, he's a wizard. He's gonna make it. He's creating this whole world. So he's gonna create this whole world to keep these people alive in as easy of a way as possible, because it's magic and he doesn't want to do the work. So I use his magic. Yeah. So he's like, I'll just create this whole thing so I don't have to do anything. Right. And it just takes care of itself.
As a player, as a DM, your world building, sort of the framework at which you built that world was, am I wrong? Was it about the ecosystems of the particular monster, or was it more of like a carnival? You know, because your carnival was hilarious. Like
the carnival
that itself was awesome. That was easy, and I would say easy, but whatever. Maybe not for you, maybe not for some, but that was awesome. Yeah. You go into a tent, you guys are throwing axes, but the interaction once we got into like the dungeon portion of it, was the dungeon portion of it what did you have a theme, the common theme, which was?
So my whole goal in running those sessions, those ended up being 2 total sessions, 2 or 3 or 2.5.
2.5
was to try and have as much fun as I could as a DM, and I wanted to do a lot of role play, and I wanted to do like a little like dungeon crawl, and like try and kill you guys as much as I could, because I was like, why the hell not?
Yes.
You're gonna try and destroy and mess up every possible thing that I can, because I've been doing that to you this whole time. I'm like, bring it on. Let's just have some fun with this. So I wanted to have like a little carnival, something that wouldn't like disrupt your world building too much. Being like this traveling carnival came in and set up for a week. So it can come in whenever, just plop it down, and then it can go somewhere else.
So I feel like world building, that was sort of like like what we just talked about was like an offshoot, but it's still like it's still in the world building that we have, and there's a map, and I will have to upload it into the comments or with a link. There's a map. There's like, it's huge, and the map is Pangea. And so like when I was world building, I was like, all right, what's the coolest map I can sort of try to populate? And so I went back and I got Pangea. So like that was my foundation. I was like, all right, I'm going to plug in cities and towns and stuff on this old Pangea continent and see where it goes. I know that Artemisia is going to be the first place. Let's start there. So I would say that like my influences are, which differ from your influences. Maybe you're more themed based. Like let's say yours is more of like a. Maybe it isn't. Maybe yours is more okay. In this particular sense, you just got to be the DM for a couple sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have some fun, which is the way it should be anyway. In the background of everyone's DMing, it should be all about fun. But when it comes to particular world building, I just stuck with what I knew, and I was like, all right, I just want one big continent, and let's just upload a picture of Pangea. Let's pinpoint where I am, and then slowly evolve from there. And what I realized about world building, we did the forest, we did Artemisia, we had your Richard's Carnival, we had the desert, and then we had the ocean was when it kind of broadened to whatever you wanted. The more and more I go through this, the more and more I realize that I want the players to be involved in not necessarily like the area, like just to bring it back to the New York City thing. I don't want the players to be in charge or have the power to say, okay, this is New York City and this is New Jersey. But the players can certainly be the reason why New Jersey boy and his gang know about man. You can certainly rely on your players is all I'm trying to illustrate. And this is just one of the many different conversations we're going to have about world building. And I think one of the main things is relying on your players. Everyone's background stories don't have to fit in necessarily into the specific world that you're building, but they will. They certainly will, just by sheer force from the players. Guarantee you, if I were to go to, we just talked about Wilbur, guarantee you if I were to go to Wilbur's home, Chris already has like in his mind 5 or 6, not necessarily interactions, but happenings that are already there that I don't even have to create. I just got to get you guys there. You know?
Yeah, locations that I've envisioned, people who would have been in charge or
when we get there. Like I feel like I don't know if this is like a good thing or a bad thing, and I'll let you know when we get there, viewers. But I promise you this: when we get to Everglade, Chris, you're going to be the one who names all the people there.
Oh, we'll do a little town world building when and build Wilbur's old village.
Yeah, for sure. And but I'm going to put you on the spot though. I'm not, you can say that there's a bartender over there, but when we get there and Aaronist comes over and he's like, "Listen, I want to get this guy drunk because I'm going to try to steal his stuff," like AKA Rogue. I'm going to be like, "Well, Chris, what's his name? Go ahead. Come on, you got 2 seconds. Let's go, buddy." That's how world building's done, huh? Putting people on the spot. But
which is what we're going to be doing shortly with building an NPC.
So I'm going to put this one for everyone that's watching. We're going to have at least 10, maybe 15 segments on world building. This is one of. It might be maybe one of one now. We're going to continue on this because world building is so huge. It goes from just simple NPC to a small little dungeon to a massive city to essentially the entire world. Before we were live, I was talking with Chris about like a specific dungeon. I was talking about, how if you were doing a Mind Flayer dungeon, you'd want to have a little, you'd open, what the first room you would see is like a dead guy with his head exploded, an intellect devourer or two, maybe you kill them, a couple puzzles, and then you'd have your Mind Flayer. Like that type of world building is great. But then when you go outside of the dungeon, can you implement that into the overall sculpture of your world that you're building? And I think that's so cool. I think it's so interesting. We're going to have many, many different topics on it. So,
and if you have ideas for specific, more focused topics of world building, let us know in comments.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. In a couple, just stay tuned for the sequels. It's going to be fucking awesome. Beep. I shouldn't have dropped that bomb. Stay tuned for a 5-minute, maybe 10-minute NPC that I think you're gonna like.